A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Nerf Secrets Revealed. So, for this episode here, this is another multi-part episode, in case you already know. I am, in fact, wearing the same shirt as I did in the last episode, so that will give away the fact that I am, in fact, composing myself a multi-part episode that will conjunct with trying to complete my stuff on time, even though it actually may seem like it could be too late, because after all, it is less than a week from the original due date that I had planned to end this season of Nerf Secrets Reveal. April 28th is when I planned to do it. But there's always time where I could actually extend my time and choose another due date in the future, in case if I do cross that area there without even being finished. But now, onwards to the actual subject of this episode here. What I would like to talk about is Nerf merchandise. Nerf merchandise related to accessories, clothing, and more. When it comes to merchandising, Hasbro really has a lot of potential when it comes to producing any kind of merchandise that's available. Similar to how Nickelodeon has done merchandising, of course, Defunct Land's own Kevin Berger talks more about this. I could probably put a link to that video in the description down below that talks about merchandising with a certain company in order to capitalize on popularity in terms of whatever new franchise comes into play within the next few years of a company's existence. But I don't have my own company. This is just a flying solo type of mission here that I tend to put into play for myself, specifically to try to earn myself a good living. And so, anytime you see me here for Nerf Secrets Revealed, of course there is going to be a lot more that I'm going to put together, because it has taken a lot of thought here to really put stuff together. A lot of thought. It takes a lot of thought, work, patience, and even honesty plays a good role into it. Though perseverance also has a big lead on the work that I dedicate myself to from any time, anywhere, from here on out. And so, back to merchandising. When it comes to merchandising of any sorts, Hasbro really does have a lot of potential, and I already just said that, but furthermore, Hasbro just has a lot of unique capabilities that can really set forth into a certain brand or any type that we've really come to know about and eventually love and grow up with. With Nerf blasters, being that Nerf itself was a brand, and it still is a brand, that has been around for 50 years, we've known Nerf for many of our own lives. There's not at all one person out there who could know anything about Nerf of any sorts. If it's blasters, if it's the logo itself, if it's anything at all that has to do with the brand itself, anybody, anywhere can get to know about it within a day or two of their lives. And as for me, being that the first time I was introduced to Nerf was way back in 2005, before YouTube was practically even existent, that was around the time where Nerf had been introduced into my lifetime. So, anytime, anywhere, from here on out, I've really gotten to know about Nerf as a whole, and the community that spawned, eventually. I actually really have gotten to know, and I've really come to terms with how it is easy to come together with a certain community out there who has grown to know about the existence of such a brand. But with merchandising, though, it actually has acted as some sort of propaganda that would actually initiate an encouragement that would allow anybody out there to go ahead and go out there to support this particular brand. Though, if you actually have seen an earlier episode of Nerf Secrets Revealed, then you might have discovered that there was an article that I had discovered that was published on April 6, 2019, and it did show how brands like Zuru, Buzzbee, and otherwise that were competing against Nerf, and it also showed how these particular brands were actually going to set down to try to take down Nerf once and for all with their cheaper prices and somewhat unique capabilities. Their specialties, in contrast to Nerf itself, is somewhat of a worthy time to really think about what it would mean to have a toy gun in your life. But with any kid, any adult out there, with anybody out there of any type, we do have a lot of stuff that goes on in our lives that do dedicate to our own inner child, our own inner demons, really. But it is, of course, not at all a bad time to have ourselves such a good time when it comes to know about a certain brand of ours that we have known to grow up with. And being that I've grown up with the brand for 14 years, it almost seems safe to say that now it almost feels like I have myself a big certainty that does actually play into a more sophisticated bunch that just pulls itself together and it just goes out into the wild. But of course, going on back into merchandising, once again, hopefully stick with it this time. Hasbro itself has a lot of merchandising. There's a lot of clothing that had been released with the Nerf logo on it. Otherwise, you would have seen custom t-shirts or sweaters being made with the Nerf logo on it. Nerf has also done a lot of dedication to creating accessories, including Bluetooth speakers, keychains, and a lot of other things out there that people would like to have as accessories. This would further capitalize popularity on the brand itself, so this way it would encourage more buyers out there who are not at all fans of the brand itself, but they are a fan of things like keychains, speakers, anything like that. There have been a lot of accessories and a lot of things that people could buy that do have the Nerf logo on it, so this way, at some point in time, they would get to know about the brand itself, just like many of us have within the last decade or so. But seeing that now here today, we probably do have a lot of merchandising around us that have actually come to terms with how we know ourselves as a society today. A society like us really does know how to spend in the marketplace. A society like us really has known to come to terms with how we have ourselves such a unique brand that doesn't just stick to where it usually is, but instead it just expands and branches out. And Nerf has actually been doing that a lot. There's lots of other brands though that we have actually come to know about, and some of us though have began to love. Though Nerf itself is just one of those things that I could probably never let go, even though my collection is practically a bit minuscule with 6 blasters, only 6 blasters. But now I feel like that here in today's time, in terms of merchandising, in an effort to prevent any contradiction towards the brand's goal of appealing towards any audience, although it does feel like I'm actually stealing Kevin Perjure's lines, so I'm sorry. But in terms of any kind of merchandising that Nerf has been playing out on, in terms of accessories, clothing, any kind of merchandise that would become available to the public itself, Hasbro just does a lot to try to make us a bigger piece of society, a bigger community, really expand upon the effort to actually go all out rather than just go all in and just stick with the primary product of yours that would actually not at all comply with too much of appeal into any kind of audience, because many people out there, like I've said, they're not as fans of Nerf as some of us are, and so Hasbro really just does a lot of effort in terms of creating merchandise that aren't related to blasters, but appear in the shape of blasters, but have themselves characteristics that would apply towards regular items of any type that we have every day. So I feel like that could just wrap it up though, because there are in fact a few more episodes that I'm going to have to come to terms with for today. But if you want to see more, go down to my channel, make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.